Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to talk about a topic that I have to say a lot of players have been talking about this as of lately. And I've talked about this over the past year as well. But I really want to discuss my thoughts on this topic, and that is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying? Now, personally, I'm just going to come out and say, first off, no, I do not think it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying. I think it is the player base is fed up with some of the things that Konami has done, which is causing players to state and for companies and products and locals to say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying because they're kind of fed up with some of the things that Konami has done as of lately. So some of the things as of right now, at the end of March 2016, that the community has said that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fed up with is a couple of these things here. Number one, the ban list. The fact of the matter is the ban list does not have an end date. It's not the fact of the hits on the ban list really. It's not the fact really at the end of the day for me even that cards are not coming off the ban list or the wrongful cards are being hit and not being brought back. They're just letting them sit there and rot on the ban list. It's the fact that there's no end date. And I know for a lot of players out there that is something they really hate. There's no end date. I mean, I want to know, okay, I got this long to play my deck. To invest in cards, to even do videos for you guys, deck profiles, to have Konami just come out of the air and just say, whoop, ban list time. I mean, granted, we know it's between 3 and 4 months perhaps, but we don't have a date. And then it's like a rock hitting you on the head or something falling off a building and hitting on your head. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you can see they're doing construction work. You know it's going to happen eventually. Something's going to fall and hit your head, but you don't know when. That's an analogy for you. Also, I mean, that's something that, and with the emergency ban list that happened, which they haven't done in a long time, that just hurt a lot of card shops that make money off of Yu-Gi-Oh! It hurt a lot of players for profit-wise. It just did a lot of bad things and hurt the community and made them go, I'm fed up. Other things that Konami has done is, lately, as you guys may have known, they've hit DN, and DN has gone down. Now, no matter what you think about DN, a good chunk of the community did play on DN. A lot of activities happen on DN, be it competitions, tournaments, because it was easier access for people out there that wanted to play the game. It was a gateway also as well for players to get back into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I find. That's from personal experience. And it was easier just for a lot of reasons for players to get on. Granted, I didn't like it, but it was good and it was a useful tool in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arsenal of things against, for friends and whatnot. And that being hit made the community again say, we're fed up with Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, I feel like Konami, we're just sick and tired of the pendulum mechanic, and we are concerned as a player base, what is next after the pendulum mechanic? These are just some of the basic things we as a community are kind of fed up with. Power creep. Things like that. Bad prize support. I mean, I've heard so many horrible stories about prize support as of lately. And people say, well, Konami should give us money. That's not going to happen. And the reason for that is because Kazuki Takahashi, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, says that it cannot happen. And he has the legal rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! So because that man says you can't have Yu-Gi-Oh! Prize money, and because the game was originally geared for kids, it cannot pay prizes. We could say scholarships were like that, but I think there's a whole bunch of different other ways, little ways, inexpensive ways that Konami could help and make the player base happy. The UDS belt is one thing right there, but there needs to be more things for regionals on down, and they haven't done that yet. It's one of the reasons why I don't like being a competitive player. We really don't want to invest in the top tier decks unless they're very cheap or become cheap, is because the fact of the matter is they could get hit on a dime just like that. And on top of that, we don't know a ban list, so I don't know, hey, how long do I have this competitive deck? Oh, I just picked it up, bam, it gets hit. Yes, I can use my brain, but it's a pain in the butt. It's not as simple as it used to be. And it sucks. And it really does. So, saying all these negative things, let's put this aside. Those are some of the reasons that I feel the community is fed up with the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I may have missed one or two things, and I do apologize to the community about that. If I did so, please let me know down below. But I wonder, and I have hypothesized and thought about this at the end of the day. What is Konami's overall goal? Now, we may all jokingly say, Konami has no goal, no objective. They just want to ruin the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Blah, 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 blah. They're a bad company, blah, 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 blah. You hear it all the time. You know what I'm talking about. But Konami's a company. If they want to survive as a company, they have to do right steps. And not just in Yu-Gi-Oh! I know we were talking about Metal Gear Solid and all that stuff that did, you know, to rest in peace. I'm glad he's with Nintendo now, but you know who I'm talking about. I should not speak his name, but he's a great person. But we've always said Konami's doing bad things, but they're a company at the end of the day. And I feel like after what happened in the gaming department, they need to rely more upon Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though it's very cheap to make the cards and they maybe not make a whole bunch of money out of it, you can tell they're kind of trying to milk as much as they can with all these reprints they're doing and things of that nature. But also, I feel like what Konami is trying to do is something radical and something that other shows and games have been doing as of lately. And that is revamping the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Top to bottom. What do I mean by that? Well, let me just tell you a couple indicators here. Number one, haven't you noticed over the last 2 years about that Konami has been bringing out and making older cards into archetypes? Let's name off a couple. Toons got support. Buster Blader got support, became an archetype. BLS became an archetype. Red Eyes became an archetype. Blue Eyes has become an archetype. Dark Magician is becoming an archetype officially now. What other things can we name? A half a dozen other old archetypes that I've gotten support in some way, shape, or form, or legacy support. A lot of them have. Volcanics, Gravekeepers, the list goes on and on. Crystal Beast, even though it's más o menos, you get what I'm going with this here now, guys. A lot of old archetypes are getting support. Konami at the same turn has, with the Arc 5 era or Arc V era, has been making Synchros relevant, Exceeds relevant, Pendulums relevant, Rituals relevant. Just about every mechanic in the last year to 2 years has become relevant and meta-worthy at some point in time. You cannot tell me otherwise. The structure decks have been doing that as well. They even made tribute summoning relevant after gosh knows how long. So you can't tell me that Konami's not making older mechanics relevant in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or revamping old decks like Monarchs and things of that nature and giving them legacy support. Granted, they may not be the same as they once were, but they're still the same archetype. Secondly, if you did not know this, Konami is redoing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. Not the 5Ds manga, not the Zexo manga, not the GX manga. They're redoing, after 15 years I believe it is, or a freaking long ass time, bringing back the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. The old Pharaoh Tim, Yugi Moto, Seto Kaiba, Joey Wheeler, Mai Valentine, Taya, Tristan. You know these guys, Duke Devlin, Sexiness himself. They're bringing back those guys, alright? They're redoing that in Japan. That means there will be newer, older cards, older archetypes coming back most likely. Third off, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie. This Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie is not about, as far as we know, is about all the other archetype or all the other anime series that have come before, things of that nature. It's about Yugi, Kaiba, Joey. That's what it's going to be about. Not Zexal, not Arc V, not Jaden, not Fudo. Yugi, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugi Moto. You get where I'm going with that? Yes. What I feel like Konami is trying to do, or at some point in time is implementing, something that a lot of Japanese anime, because you have to remember, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a manga and is an anime. You can't forget that. It's not just a card game, okay? Yes, the card game could be more successful than all those three, the anime and the manga. You may not watch it anymore, but though that was the successful thing. If it wasn't for the manga and it wasn't for the anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game would never have survived or been a thing. And probably a lot of us players would never have gotten into the game to begin with. You can't deny that. So what I feel like they're doing is they're doing what a lot of anime and shows over in Japan are doing right now. They're rebooting the series. Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z Super, Tenchi Muyo, The list goes on and on of a couple of things they've been doing. Even Gundam, I think they're revamping. There's just a lot of animes you're noticing over in Japan. They're revamping. They are going back to their roots of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or of their anime series, their anime thing. You know, they're redoing things because they want to, and they find that that's nostalgic. I feel Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of doing the same thing as like Dragon Ball Z Super, Sailor Moon, these other shows. They're bringing them back. Even Digimon is getting revamped. Yes, it's not the same thing as we remember, but it's still getting redone. Yu-Gi-Oh! Could be trying to attempt the same thing in 2016, 2017, where they are trying to make it go back to its roots. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go back to, I summon an 18/7 colored fish and you summon a mechanical chaser and you run over me. Oh, Heavy Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster type of formats. No, I'm not talking about that. The game cannot go back to that. But what I'm saying is they're trying to curve maybe the power creep to make Yu-Gi-Oh! Last for the long term by bringing more interest back into the game by reopening the manga, bringing a movie out to say, hey, we're back. Because what did Dragon Ball Z Super, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, what did Dragon Ball Z Super did? Reignited interest in Dragon Ball Z. Also at the same time, they brought a new anime out right after that. I wonder if that after Arc V ends, if we're not going to see a new anime based off the manga and following Yugi Moto himself. Going back to Joey, Tristan, and Taylor, Seto, Kaiba, those guys, and not focusing on a new arc, another protagonist, another type of thing. Going back to what made it popular. I wonder if they're doing that, and I think they're doing it because if you look at all the stars, they're sort of starting to align. What is possibly, like I discussed before, in OCG land right now, Blue Eyes White Dragon is technically a meta deck. Who in bloody blazes, not even me, myself, Seto Kaiba, or whatever you want to call me, ever thought that was possible? But they're doing it. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not dying, technically. Maybe it's going through evolutionary changes. Granted, we have growing pains. And when you have growing pains, you're going to have pains in your ass. DN being down, the ban list sucks, yes. But look at the long term. Don't look at right now is what I'm trying to say. Look down the road at the possibilities. Look at the glass as half empty or half full. Okay? Look at it as half full. We're getting there. We're gonna get somewheres. We got a movie coming out, guys, about the old Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. I don't care if you're an old school, a young school player. I don't care if you're an old school player. You should be hyped for that stuff. That Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, two of the most iconic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, are going to be getting revamped and have the possible potential to be meta-defining decks in the OCG, and maybe, by the grace of the Lord, we will have it meta-defining in the TCG. And that maybe Konami's trying to go back to their roots of what made Yu-Gi-Oh! A good game. It will be busted maybe. There will be power creep still. But going back to its roots. Making archetypes and then working on those archetypes to make them good. I just feel that they're trying to do something right here, and granted right now it's kind of we're in a haze where we don't know what's going to happen. But I feel like we're at a turning point in 2016, and the year is still very young. We got over a half a year left in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We do not know what's going to happen. Maybe because they brought DN down to make popularity more for a new dueling system that actually could be good for freaking once, but I do not hold my hopes to that. But I'm hoping, just with the card design, with everything of that nature, that they're actually trying to go back to their roots maybe. Or just make archetypes that go back to those roots. Of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Because I've been watching over the last year, and I just saw that they kept bringing, the movie got announced last summer. And over the course of the last year, a whole slew of old archetypes have gotten new support that people have been begging for forever. Toons, Red Eyes, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, Buster Blair, BLS, things we never asked for are getting revamped. Celtic Guardian, to some extent, is getting new artwork and things. Just look at the big picture. Don't look at the little picture. Look at the big picture and see what's happening. If you can formulate your own hypothesis, I'm not trying to be a preacher or a prophet and say this is what's going to happen, but I'm saying I feel in my bones and I'm looking at the facts, you know, like this, and just saying it's lining up. It's lining up. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's not like a far-fetched theory that you look at all these other animes in Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, over there in, you know, Japan, they're revamping them, they're rebooting them. Why wouldn't they reboot Yu-Gi-Oh, make more interested in it, bring it back to its roots, things of that nature? It's a plausible possibility, and I'm hoping it's true, because that would make me such a happy player and a happy person. It would bring a little bit of sunshine, and I think I could forgive Konami for many things. I've already have, even though they do many wrong things, because they've made Blue Eye support and Dark Magician support. But for full absolution, bring back the Yu-Gi-Oh anime original, or even base it off the Dude Terminal. You don't need to make another mechanic. Just work with what you got, like I've said before, and you will be good. The game will not die. I think the game had the most potential of dying after the original series died, and if you revamp that, you go back to that, you're asking for a whole bunch of happy players out there. And I think players would actually watch the anime if it was the original show. But until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, tell me what your thoughts are down below, and try to be optimistic, please. I mean, granted, we could say, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's going to be dead within a year, but let's look at the glass as half full, not half empty, okay? Till next time, guys, take care, everybody. I'll see you next time. Have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and remember to always enjoy playing this game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun, then you're not playing the game the right way, I feel like. That's just my opinion. If you're not taking enjoyment away from the game in some way, shape, or fashion, why are you playing the game? Take care, everybody. Food for thought as well.